Okay, so this may or may not sound crazy, but the biggest thing keeping this from like this shift or whatever, which is basically just a fixing of something that's been somewhat hidden, but was just like, okay, all it is entities that utilized alien technology in some way in the beginning when there wasn't enough light on the planet, in a way that went against like Satanism and everything. They like went rogue, and they had no plans to like not stop pursuing what they were pursuing. No, so this person was, they're like higher self over soul. I don't even know how to explain it, but it was just like their whole soul embodied, I guess, grounded in earth in 2015 when they screwed. And this like small group of like entities that would utilize consciousness sometimes or try to utilize mind. They like started experimenting weirdly, like gang stalking, kind of like, but not fully. But it was so bad because you can't, it's like, it wasn't like regular alien mind control or anything like that. Like they follow, they all like served its purpose in that it couldn't be done to something that it wasn't able to be done to. But these guys just like went rogue in with what they did, and that's what was so terrible from the get-go. And I could tell from, okay, I don't want to make this too long. Anyways, it just grew and grew, and they just kept getting more and more entities and making these just like humans look bad or whatever and worthy of being harmed, and then telling these entities almost like just like buying into like, oh, this Satanism doing this, taking over this person's mind, third eye and body. And so the body though being like the whole soul, like doing that, because you're not, no negative ET or anything would be able to, someone that was their whole soul and whole higher self and body would be able to like fragment that being that learned all its lessons, that learned the dark and the light and had it all integrated like fully. It's just not supposed to be possible. So this is where it's like entities perhaps exploring or experimenting with having consciousness, or just experimenting in general, having done this, is what was like this cause of like, so all beings connected to these individuals who had this, and including Earth, were like starting to be attacked. Well, not only like were they starting to, yes, like fragmented in consciousness, like taken out. So they were like out. So there was like no way for people to even reach like this 5D consciousness, which was so important because that's where you, that's where there was like the dark ETs or whatever you want to call them, negative ETs. So it's like so great, this vocabulary that started coming out like 2015 to 2017 onwards. Anyways, because where they became more dark, where we were supposed to learn 5D is how much the whole purpose, this purpose of, was for us to like see the dark within ourselves, how you integrate that fully. And you could just do that just by living, just by being human. You could do that enough, and like, I don't know what kind of integration happens in your higher self or at whatever self's level where that seems to level out. But that wasn't happening anymore when these people were fragmented to that level, and Earth wasn't for however long, because fragmented to that level because oh my gosh, now it's trying to, because isn't that piss you off? Because here, like, it's trying to stop me from even just telling this. Just the entities that are saying, that have convinced themselves that they're going to die if they don't have stolen soul parts, pieces, and consciousness, which, by the way, what they do to get that, especially at this point, is like the most horrendous thing, and like the most horrendous, like, it's bad. I mean, it would make anybody just like fucking, so it would piss you off. And so it's just the last like remnants, because there's been way too many full-blown interventions, and I've witnessed it, I've seen it all, that they've tried to reverse and change. And now it's just like to this point where, I don't know, I guess I'm making this to say that I don't know if this, because there's like, sometimes it's hard to tell which one is them saying something or not, but because I do have a little bit of PTSD with this, I'll be real, but to like focus on just clearing these entities, like, because they will even point out and look up to all of these like prominent spiritual healers out there to try to put me down, like they have had for years, until I had to just like know for sure slowly and whatever. So you could just even like pull out their books, even like, anyways. So they just can't keep doing this, because what happens is then none of the light workers or the light beings are able to like even like integrate their dark parts, because their dark parts are forced to be like not was planned or like harmful. Meanwhile, while like I'll hold it. So like, cause it's a process, it's like a natural, unique process, unique to the individual. And it's not so like spiritual or Reiki, it's like a unique human kind of integration thing. It's unique human integration thing. So, so they're not even able to really start. And us in Earth or whatever have been just like dying with them doing this over and over, just taking out the consciousness. So we just started like, it's about a year and a half ago, clearing from like the depths. It's been the hardest thing ever, but it's just slowly but surely just fighting for the consciousness to be online. And that's when you start, and then just being able to fucking read it like a sentence or a paragraph. I'm not even kidding. And they're still making that difficult. It's like they're trying to go back to that after all of this. Just like making the body sick, and that means Earth sick too, like putting negative ET machinery in Earth, in this and in and above. And I think that's where like any native technology started from, is because of that, because the native ETs weren't getting what they were supposed to get, either the light nor the dark were. So it's just like this fucking miscommunication. And you have these little fuckers who are just entities that with soul and consciousness or soul and soul parts, and they're still sticking around. But the way that, and it's just like, okay, gigs up, obviously. But so that's like the main thing. And it's relatively small in hindsight, to where if you wanted to help, just focus on helping clear off soul parts pieces, and consciousness that is not theirs, and get them the hell off. And just follow your higher self or whatever. Get them the hell off of Earth, even, because I'm sure Earth's fed up. Like they need to go. But like they need to go, because they'll do anything. They've like convinced themselves, because this is what would happen with an entity. It's like that's what kind of created this like creepy, like why the world's been creepy lately, and why because they're still like this fragmented consciousness, right? They're still like an entity, and they get these parts of human, and the still thing is the entity part. So it's like their fears of their fears and all of their stuff from still being like entities, still fragmented or whatnot, is like still there. They just think that they're now like human and powerful, which is dangerous for so many reasons, because they just do whatever they want. And they think, oh, well, if it works, then that's why. It must be because it's supposed to, or because I did this right and this right. And it's not. That's why it's like, okay, nope. Because they truly keep thinking that. And now they're just like almost to the point of, well, my intuition, that whether they've come to know this themselves, like maybe way underneath, just flabbergasted at the idea of even like coming to think of this being what it actually is. But like the amount of times I've seen like so many of you, or so many people, everybody trying so hard to and then just like the world or everything, everything, the stars, the skies, all the universe, everything, and then them try to reverse it is driving me insane. So I thought at least I could just put this out there, that that's one thing that you could do. And yeah, it may seem like I'm not like, oh, superficial, but that's how it always is. It's like the paradox of things. The people you think that are like the least powerful or least looking powerful are often the most powerful. And that's one thing that you do learn when you do like the 5D stuff. You start to like think like that in all things. That's one thing that also points out with this like false kind of ascension, like spiritual community stuff that's been over the past like 10 years. Hasn't necessarily been like super false. It's just their perception of what was happening. But there's just a lot of presentation of oneself as like this still 3D, like as not like this 5D whole human, which has all its parts, which may not represent as like super confident or super like what we've learned to be if we're going to be successful. Which like if you're starting to integrate and become more 5D, you're going to probably present sometimes as being a little more vulnerable, a little more human all the time, which some people want to perceive as like unprofessional or not this and not that. So that's just like a strange thing that's occurred, that those people were becoming the 5D light showers, but that's starting to end as this truth is coming out. But this is the last bit, so I'm just asking for your help if you want to.